Hello, my name is Chris. I'm from COAD, and today we're going to show you how to wrap this electric hot water tank right here. So we are going to go over a few things that is required to do this hot water tank wrap. First, we're going to start with the health and safety part of this, the PPE. It does require an N95 mask to help protect your lungs from all the fiberglass. Then gloves to protect your hands from the fiberglass. So if you're sensitive to it, this would be a great idea to wear the gloves. And then, of course, safety glasses. Now you're asking probably why safety glasses. When we're cutting the fiberglass, it does bring up particles of the fiberglass that may come into your eyes. Now this ain't going to protect 100% of it, but it will protect most of it. So, moving on to the tools that we're going to need to do this install: a P22 stapler, some extra staples for the stapler, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to start doing this and you're going to run out of staples, so make sure you have a few staples on hand. Utility knife, a good pair of scissors if you want to. Some people prefer to cut with the utility knife, but also some others like to use the scissors. A tape measure. Then we have the vinyl tape here, and then we have some duct tape. And then we also have a black marker, and we'll explain toward the end what this is for. Alright, we're back at the hot water tank here, and what we're going to do here, we're going to pull a measurement off this hot water tank. The way we're going to do that is take the tape measure here, kind of go around it, around here, and we're at 65 inches. Sorry about the noise. Now at 65 inches, I can't, if I was to cut that piece out there at 65, I would be short. So I'm going to have to do that 65 inches, I'm going to have to add 12 inches to it, and I will have a little bit of overlap, and we'll kind of show you that here in a few minutes. Alright, I hope you guys can hear me. We're going to go ahead and cut this piece of insulation here. Put on my health and safety PPE. So we're going to kind of unroll this insulation. Then take a measurement from the end of it. And that was 65. Then add 12 inches. So we're at right. Well, I'll mark it at 77 inches. Now the purpose for the board is you're going to be in the client's home and using this utility knife. You don't want to press down and kind of cut the floor or make any marks. So that's the reason for this board here. This is kind of get it, don't have to be perfect, about right there. When you're doing this, you kind of want to put pressure on this blanket here, because you're compacting the fiberglass and it makes it a little bit easier to cut. If you were to flip it around and do the same thing, you're going to have a little more harder time trying to get through the fiberglass. This is probably the easier way of doing it. So let's again apply pressure, center of the board. And now we have a nice clean cut. If we were to do it the other way, it would be more of a mess and just harder on you to do so. Okay. Alright, now we've got the piece cut here, and I did have to trim about 5 inches off the bottom, and sometimes you might have to do that. And pretty much you just measure how, if it exceeds the top of the tank, measure what it exceeds and cut it off the bottom, because you do want this lip right here to be on the top. So with this cut and ready to install, we'll go ahead and wrap it around the tank. And as you can see here, if you want to zoom in here, there is kind of an overlap, how much overlap. We don't want that much overlap on here. So what we're going to do is about, say, an inch to an inch and a half over, I will cut the access off here, and then we'll go from there. All right, now we've cut off the access that was required, cut off the bottom, and now we're ready to apply it to the tank. So we'll just kind of wrap it as best as you can, get around the back of the tank. And now, as you can see, we're right where we need to be at. The one thing to remember when doing this now, we do have these two panels here. You do not want your seam to be over them panels. So you have to decide, you can go over here, or you can go over here. So for right now, we're going to go on this side here. Now, when we start doing this, we want to separate the fiberglass from the vinyl. Just a little bit of it. And then push the fiberglass up to the tank. Make it nice and snug. You don't want it loose where it falls down. So we kind of snug it up a little bit. Make sure these are even here. And pinch them together like so. And then roll it over at least at the minimum of one time. If you got to do it more than one time, that's okay, but at least one time. You take your P22 stitch stapler here and just put a couple staples in there. Make sure when you're doing this, it don't come unraveled like it did. So just make sure it's nice, good fold. And when folding this, you want to get kind of in the center of the fold, not at the bottom of the fold, because if you get at the bottom of the fold, you're not getting the whole strength of it. So once again, take the P22, about middle of the fold, and there you go. Now we're going to move down a couple inches. Again, pull kind of tight, separate the fiberglass from the vinyl, press the fiberglass to the tank, make sure it's snug. Make a small little pinch there and fold it over like so, and then make sure it stays, because sometimes it wants to back off, so make sure you can keep that where it needs to be at, and there you go. And what we'll do that with the rest of the tank as well. Pull back the fiberglass from the vinyl, pinch it, and then fold it. Take the stapler, and that's what you do, and that's how you do it. Alright, now that we have this all nice and stapled up here, if you want to zoom in down here, we have the drain where we drain a hot water tank. For a simple fix there, we take the utility knife right, trying to find the center of the drain here, and go a little bit above it, and just make it look like a little slice right there, and just kind of tuck it around there, and there you go. So that way it's visible, and we'll probably go ahead and put a staple down there just to hold it there. Now that we have that cut and we're over the drain, I'll take my P22 stapler. Once again, like before, I'll separate the fiberglass from the vinyl. Make that one little pinch, the minimum of one time. Fold. And then we'll go ahead and get this stapled up here real quick. Sometimes you do have to work with it. It's not always real easy, but then it comes out where we really don't have to put a staple there, but it's nice and nice right there. And then another thing, if you want to go ahead and zoom back up here, when we're doing this, it's trying to make sure the seam, that the cut and where we staple and everything is as straight as can be. They don't have to be perfect, but at least make it look nice and professional. So then we'll move on to the top. All right, now this package that we got from the store, it already had our top cut out for us. Usually this is not done. If you work at a local community action, they usually have it in a bulk. So you actually have to cut this. It just usually, it's on the norm, it's 24 by 24. Maybe bigger, but it's usually about 24 by 24. But this, like I said, this is already cut, so that's great. Now what we're doing is we're going to make a slice in this to go around the pipes. The easiest way to do this is go about 6 inches from one side and just make a slice, and now we have that. And then now we're going to take this piece. If you want to go ahead and zoom up to the top here. And we're going to take it underneath the pipes here. And now we're around the pipes. Now we do have the pressure relief valve right here on top. And usually it's here on the side. In the case of this being on the side here, we would actually make a slice right here and bring the tank around it and then staple that slice. But on this one, it's on top, so we don't have to worry about that. So now we got our slice made and we're around all the pipes. And I will take the P22 stapler here that we talked about earlier. The same method applies to up here. You want to separate the fiberglass from the vinyl, make that pinch, and then at least one fold. So we'll start here, where I've separated the fiberglass. Now I'm pinching the vinyl together, and I'm making that one fold. Alright, now we've got our one staple in here, and our temporary pipe there. Again, so now, as you can see, I made a couple slices here around behind the pipes, just kind of help go around them. Again, you separate the fiberglass from the vinyl, pinch it, and then roll it over at least one time. Put a couple staples there. Now, you do want to make, now if it seems a little big at first, it's alright, because once you start pinching and stapling this here, it'll actually bring it in. So you do want it a little bit bigger than what the top is. And then we'll go ahead and get this one taken care of as well. Separate the fiberglass from the vinyl, pinch it, and then roll it over one time. Couple staples, and see how that came loose, and then it catch. So that does happen, so that's something you want to make sure of. So go back there again, pinch it, and do a little bigger fold there, and we got it. So now we're going to start on the sides. I'm going to grab my utility knife here. Now the way that I do it is, kind of feel for the side. Right there is the side of the tank. I lift it up a little bit from the tank there, and just kind of make like a little curve. Have this little section out right here. And now I'll do the same thing right here, so you can see right there's the tank right there. So I'll lift it up. Make a little. Don't have to be perfect. Now the reason I lift it up from the tank is, if I was to do it down here, and this is right there, now I'm cutting through this. So you want to lift it up off the tank, just kind of get a little arch in there. And we want to kind of finish this up real quick. And now, once again, we're same method. Separate the fiberglass from the vinyl, just this little part right here. Now this time we'll pinch it here and we'll just kind of do a couple folds. And just enough to get it nice and tight. As long as it's more than one. You can do as many as it takes to get it nice and tight. And once again, same thing over here. Get where the edges are equal right there. Do one fold. See, we're still a little loose right there. We'll do another one. Yeah, all right. So that was actually not too bad right there. And there you go. All right, now that I went ahead and I'm just going to demonstrate how to get this started on the sides here. We'll go ahead and get this backing off this tape. And again, just do as best as you can with this. Try to get the center of the tape. Go around there, and you might have to make a couple slices in it. And then just keep doing that around the tank. And then, if we remember where we made this slice right here and we put the staples, we have to cover that up. So, I went ahead and cut a few pieces to put in here. Again, just kind of center it up with the seam. There's one. And now we also want to go in between the pipe and the pressure relief valve as well, because there's a couple staples there. And we want to try to get any of the insulation like that. Show them kind of tuck. We'll try to tuck that in here and look in a couple of minutes. That way there's no insulation showing. Like this right here, you just kind of roll that in there and make it look halfway decent for the client. They're not ever, I mean, they might never see it, or they might always see it all the whole time. So pretty much that's it, and then we'll finish this up here. Alright, now that the top's done and the sides are down here, now we're going to take this vinyl tape like we went over before. Now, the purpose of the vinyl tape is we're going to take the vinyl tape and cover the seam and kind of help strengthen the seam itself. So, kind of want to just get an idea about the length. Then we're going to go about right there. Right there. Now, let's see if I can get this right there. Now when I'm applying this, I want to kind of center the tape with this seam here as much as you can. Make sure it's nice and right there, and you can do it however you want to. You can take it completely off and then stick it on there, but for me, I go ahead and do it little by little. That way it don't catch on anything. Just kind of rub it there a little bit, make sure you get everything nice and looking at everything. And now we do have a little bit extra left over there, so we're going to go ahead and find my utility knife here. Okay. And now the side's done, and we'll move on to the top here. Alright, now that we have this top completely taped off, all the seams are taped, looks good, side looks good. Now we're going to take the marker here, and if you recall, there's two access plates here. You don't have to be perfect with it. You want to angle down here, kind of feel around for it. So we're going to go from here about there, right there, and again, they don't have to be nothing pretty or anything. And then we'll go down to here. Once again, feel around, right there. What that does is, the next person that might have to work on this tank, now they know where to cut and get right to that plate. I mean, you can usually feel it and find it, but this kind of shows exactly where it's at. Now, if we want to go ahead and get up here, we're not going to do this side, but we will kind of demonstrate on this here. Been around there. Pipe insulation. Pretty much you have an open slot right here. You kind of pry that open. And you just put that on there like so. And now, here's where the duct tape comes in handy. We'll take a piece of duct tape, and you want to do a little piece at the bottom. All right. Sorry about this, guys. This is a prop here. But we do at the bottom, we do at the top, or any seams that you may have. You want to duct tape the seams. That way, it just kind of holds it together. So pretty much that's the whole rundown of it. So. And then we'll talk about some more things here in a minute. Alright, so now, like I said, we're done. Everything's done here. The purpose we done this was to make this tank more efficient. And when we're doing this, you want to make sure that you get completely around this tank. If you do not get completely around this tank, there will be heat loss from wherever it's not covered. So as you can see, we covered the 360 degrees of this tank. So now this tank is properly insulated, and now for the family that we did this for, it'll be more efficient for them throughout the year. But again, if you cannot, you just want to get completely around the tank. You don't want to leave no spots open where heat can get out. So that's pretty much a rundown on why we did this, and thank you for watching this video, and I hope it helps.